I just decided to quit because it just wasn't like as fun as it was when I was a kid playing, and it just like I felt like it was more of a job than it was like to enjoy.
How has it become a constant theme where we see young athletes with love for 3 or 4 sports at a young age cut this down to 1 or 2 at the high school level, or maybe even none at all? My question is, how do sports change over the course of a childhood, and what leads to kids quitting youth or high school sports?
Wasn't it like really time consuming at the youth level as it is in high school when we practice like every day?
Describe your current practice situation. How long and how often are those practices?
We practice usually every day during the week for about 2 hours.
Do you feel like your practices are too intense or too frequent?
I wouldn't say they're too intense because baseball's not that intense.
So I had practices probably from like 6th grade to freshman year, like 2 hours a day after school from like Monday to Friday, or like whatever day we had a game. We obviously wouldn't have practice, but like it was almost every day besides the weekends.
Middle school and junior high was probably my favorite time to be playing like organized youth sports. At that time I was just playing baseball and basketball, but it was just like manageable like time-wise, and you'd have your season. I mean, you'd have practices like for baseball in the winter, but it wouldn't be, you know, at 5:30 in the morning, 3 days a week. It would just be like, you know, 1 or like 2 days a week in the winter months. And it was just like a lot less pressure, I would say, a lot less physically demanding, time consuming, all of the above. So that's why I think playing in middle school and junior high was my favorite time period of playing.
Typically speaking, it's a 90-hour work week. We won't have a day off from the latter part of July until hopefully Christmas, which is 2 days after the state championship game. And I think that's pretty typical for high school coaches in this state. But I've never worked a day in my life. You know, we love what we're doing every single day. And so the hours that you spend, even though they pile on top of one another, and certainly there's a toll with your family in regards to not having a chance to be around them very much, especially in the fall. I'd much rather work 90 hours a week in a job that I love than 40 hours a week in a job that I hate. Practice goes from 3 to 5 typically, and then once we're done with practice, we come in, we watch the practice tape, break it down, and so typically, you know, Monday's a 9 o'clock day, Tuesday's a 9 o'clock day, Wednesday we try to get home at least for 30 or 45 minutes and have dinner as a family, and then usually shoot back up there. Thursday night you're home around midnight, Friday 1 o'clock in the morning. You're back up there at 8 o'clock on Saturday. We usually get home on 6, and then Sunday we go in about 12:30. And depending on the opponent and how well you're playing, it might be 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night. So one day turns into the next pretty quickly. It's sometimes difficult to realize what day it is.
For me, the little kids just need to have tons of fun, play a lot, and not spend as much time on instruction in terms of like hitting instructors, pitching instructors. They just need to go play and have fun and learn the game as they're playing.
And then can you describe like a typical like game day routine for you, like how that goes like through school and then after school?
A lot of the day is spent trying to kind of think through different scenarios. I like to have a game plan for like the first couple innings. Obviously the game dictates that, but you know, if we're going to get a leadoff guy on, are we bunting right away tonight, or are we going to try to play it out? All those different types of scenarios. So I go through that. Talk a lot with my coaching staff about kind of roles for the night of who's going to be doing what, who's in first and relief, and how deep we're, if the starter gets too deep in the game, what we're going to do and what our decisions are going to be. And then try and just get out to the office to get everything ready, my lineup card ready, stuff for the dugout ready. And then just to relax for a little bit before we go to the field.
like a rough estimate on how many hours a week do you think you like spend involved like in coaching?
Mentally, pretty much 24/7. Physically, there, yeah, I don't know, a lot.
A lot.
Mentally, it's pretty much all the time. I was able to not trade texts with my coach. Said yesterday since it was Easter, but that's about like the only time that we're not talking about something, figuring out something.
And what are your joys of coaching, and why do you do it?
Spend a lot of time with young kids, get a chance to see them grow up, develop as young men. The competitive piece is fun, but mostly just hanging out with the kids and getting to see them grow and develop and mature.
In my opinion, and like part of the reason like I quit and like why I see other people like quitting high school sports is just because of like the huge change in high school and how much more time you spend and how much more like coaches emphasize like physical conditioning and just like the seriousness and pressure of it is a huge change for like young athletes. How old were you when you first started playing youth sports?
I think I started in kindergarten.
What sports did you play?
I played a lot. I played like basketball, baseball, soccer, football, like flag football. Yeah.
How many of those sports are you still playing?
Just one. Baseball.
Why did you choose to quit some of those sports?
Well, in 8th grade I was playing 3 sports and I thought that was just taking too much time. And then I quit football before high school. And then I played basketball and baseball freshman year. Then I ended up quitting basketball just because I wanted to focus more on baseball.
What do you put more effort into, your sport or schoolwork?
Honestly, I would say my sport, but because I feel like I'm always practicing, but I still make time to do schoolwork.
Describe how game day goes for you on a school night.
After school, we go to the locker room, maybe get something to eat, and then we go to the field, get some practice in, whether it's hitting or throwing, and then we get dressed, and then pack the bus, and then go to our game.
What time do you get back home on a school night game day?
Like 8:30, 9, maybe a little later if it's far away.
With high school sports, you know, you make a lot of new friends. It's very fun. It's something to get you staying active, you know, after school. You know, you spend a lot of time with new people that you've never talked to before.
I guess the atmosphere that's created at baseball and the friendships I have is kind of why I play baseball. I mean, obviously I want to play at the next level, but one of the main reasons is because of all the friendships that I have, and I guess the level of competition that I'm at kind of keeps me in the game. But for the most part, it's the friendships that I have. I play because I love the game. Sometimes in baseball, I think the coaches put too much stress on players. We're high school athletes. I mean, we're kids. We make mistakes. I think a lot of times they take it too seriously and they put way too much stress on a game that's supposed to be fun. Our coaches here at Fishers don't do that as much, but I've definitely seen it happen in times. But I think to keep more kids in the sport, make it more of a fun atmosphere rather than an MLB setting where you're fighting for a championship. I think a lot of times kids go out just to play to have fun rather than go play at the college level and work towards that goal. So I think making it more of a fun atmosphere would help. And sometimes in the dugout things change and you get yelled at for doing certain things that would be fun to you, I guess. But I think it's just creating a more fun atmosphere. I mean, it's already there, but I think enhancing that would make it a lot better.
I think the only way to like fix this, problem we have in high school sports is to remove like the pressure and stress associated with it. I think without the additional pressure and stress and like the extreme change once you get to high school, you would get a lot more athletes who are willing to play those 4 years. And once you have more athletes playing 4 years, you still get the college players who have developed over the 4 years and want to continue to play rather than just call it quits like 1 or 2 years into high school. So we've heard from former players and current players on their opinions on high school sports and their athletic demandingness. It has become clear after hearing from these high schoolers that sports culture at the youth age has become too serious, and sports need to be restored to a more fun environment like in the past.